Please leave. It's too crowded in here, Jennifer said with a laugh. Her smile was smug and unsettling, the worst I had ever seen. I stood there, shocked, as Jennifer repeated herself. I didn't understand why I had to leave my own house. This is my house, you know. What are you talking about? I asked. I know this house is in Daniel's name, she replied. I was shocked by Jennifer's nerve. Even though I had explained everything when we got married, it seemed she hadn't listened at all. Fine, I'll leave, I said with a sigh. Watching Jennifer gleefully unpack her furniture into Daniel's home, I wished he were here, but he was away on a business trip for a month. I decided to wait until he returned to discuss the situation. Well then, take care, I said. With that, I left the house filled with memories. I knew where I was going next. I anticipated Daniel's reaction when he returned. My name is Karen, and I'm a 65-year-old housewife. I worked until I was 60 and now live comfortably thanks to my pension and the inheritance from my husband, who passed away 5 years ago. He came from a wealthy family and owned several properties. Despite his wealth, he enjoyed working and was frugal. During the years we raised our child, there were times I got frustrated with my husband for being so focused on work, but I always admired him for taking on challenges with a smile. It's been 5 years since he passed away in October, in a tragic accident that happened on our wedding anniversary. I can't forget seeing the crushed cake box at the accident scene. He left behind a significant inheritance, insurance money, and our beloved son Daniel. Daniel turned 40 this year and works at a big company. After his father's sudden death, Daniel went through a rough patch. He was cheated on and divorced by his then-wife, and he briefly sought counseling to cope. I worried he might quit his job, but then he met Jennifer, and things turned around quickly once they started dating. They got married last year, and since then he's been even more driven at work and seems to have fully recovered. Jennifer, my son's wife, is a single mother with 2 boys aged 2 and 5. Daniel, who adores kids, had grown close to them, and I found them incredibly cute. Daniel couldn't have children due to an illness in his childhood, so the idea of having grandchildren filled me with joy. I thought Jennifer was quite generous, although she occasionally said things that surprised me. Overall, I believe she had a good heart. Daniel and everyone else seemed to agree. It never occurred to me that things could turn out the way they did. After their marriage, Daniel and Jennifer moved into a property near our house. I had suggested they live in one of my husband's houses. We want to start in a home we'd chosen ourselves, Daniel insisted. He explained that Jennifer had a preference for cute things, and none of the available properties matched her tastes. When I first heard this, I was puzzled, but since they were newly married with children, I decided not to dwell on it, thinking they deserved to enjoy their preferred lifestyle. Daniel was often busy with work and traveled frequently. During his absences, Jennifer would bring the kids over for dinner. The grandchildren were well behaved, but Jennifer's behavior was quite different. She helped herself to food and often went through our closets without asking, even entering our bedroom to take my jewelry. This shocked me, and I felt the need to confront her about it. Jennifer suddenly burst into tears. I just wanted us to get along. Please don't hate me. Faced with Jennifer's tears, I found myself comforting her instead of addressing the issue. I chose not to tell Daniel about what happened, and since Jennifer didn't take anything else after that, I decided to keep the incident to myself. About 6 months into their marriage, Jennifer started sending her kids over to stay with us frequently. She would call abruptly the day before and hang up quickly, making it hard to say no. Reluctantly, I found myself taking care of the kids each time. Although they remained obedient, their table manners had noticeably deteriorated since we first met. They ate loudly and often spilled food outside their plates, despite being well-behaved before. I had to remind them repeatedly, but they would only listen temporarily before slipping back into their old habits during the next visit. This routine left me feeling frustrated. Jennifer appeared unconcerned and would drop off her children at our home and leave quickly. Initially, Jennifer would visit with the kids, but after a few times, she started sending them over alone. Jennifer, it's okay for the kids to come over, but I'd appreciate it if you could join them sometimes, I suggested. But I'm quite busy, Jennifer replied evasively. That night, Daniel called me unexpectedly. Hey Mom, could you try to be a bit more understanding with Jennifer? What do you mean? I asked, confused. I thought I had been quite kind to her, but Daniel seemed to have a different perspective. Jennifer feels pressured to visit often because she's afraid of being expected to help out like she had to in her previous marriage. She had a tough time with her ex-husband's family, so please go easy on her. Really? Okay, I understand. It seemed Jennifer had misunderstood my intentions. I responded to Daniel with mixed feelings, and the next day, Jennifer sent the kids over to our house again. As their first year of marriage passed, the children began spending half of each week with us. Meanwhile, Jennifer would only visit a few times a month, staying for about 10 minutes each time. I started feeling uneasy about Jennifer, who always seemed too busy to talk. When I asked the children about Jennifer's plans, they would look guilty and shake their heads. Initially, I tried asking a few times, but their reactions made me feel so guilty that I couldn't bring myself to pry further. Then one day, Jennifer unexpectedly came over with Daniel. We sat down for coffee and had a pleasant chat after a long while. That's when Daniel spoke up. "I have something to discuss," he said seriously. "The kids have really bonded with you, and I'm away on business trips often, so I can't spend much time with them. If you're okay with it, I'd like you to move in and help Jennifer out. What do you think?" "Move in? Well, what about Jennifer?" I was taken aback by the sudden suggestion of living together, nearly dropping my coffee cup in surprise. However, I kept my composure and turned to Jennifer. "Karen has always been a tremendous help, and I'd really appreciate her assistance," Jennifer chimed in. "Is that so? Well, I'll need some time to think about it," I replied. Daniel seemed pleased with my response. Knowing him, he must be concerned about my well-being too. I pondered over the proposal for a couple of days and eventually decided to accept. From there, we began clearing out unnecessary items and preparing rooms for Daniel's family and the children. With the kids' help, we finished cleaning up sooner than expected, although the effort left me with daily muscle pain. A stark reminder of my age. Despite the challenges, I successfully cleared out 2 rooms. As I busily cleaned, Jennifer didn't offer to help at all, which made me increasingly uneasy about living with her. Then came moving day. As the movers brought in boxes, Jennifer pulled me aside into the garden. With a puzzled expression, I turned to her, only to be met with a malicious smile. Then, unbelievably, she said something that left me stunned. "Please leave. It's too cramped in here," Jennifer laughed, her smile both smug and unsettling. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Why was she asking me to leave when it was my house? I was bewildered. "This is my house, you know. What are you talking about?" I asked. "I know this house is in Daniel's name," she replied sharply. Jennifer's assertion left me feeling inwardly frustrated. Despite explaining everything when we got married, it seemed she hadn't paid attention at all. "All right then, I'll leave," I said with a sigh. I watched as furniture that reflected Jennifer's tastes was moved in, and she seemed overjoyed. It would have been better if Daniel had been there, but he was away on a business trip. He wouldn't be back for a month, so I decided to postpone any discussion until then. "Well then, take care," I said as I left the house filled with memories. I already knew where I was headed next. I eagerly anticipated Daniel's reaction upon his return. Without delay, I moved my belongings into my new home. The new home was a villa my husband and I had visited once, filled with memories, including where he proposed to me. While it didn't hold as many memories as our previous home, it held a special place in my heart, as we had planned to spend our second life here together. After finishing unpacking, I relaxed alone on the sofa. The place was very comfortable, thanks to the caretaker's diligent maintenance. I felt a pang of sadness for not seeing the children anymore, but I was prepared to sever ties depending on Daniel's response. A month passed quickly, and around the time Daniel's business trip ended, he called me. I picked up the phone, feeling a bit nervous. "Mom, where are you? There's no space for you here, and we were supposed to be living together. What's going on? Hasn't Jennifer said anything to you?" When I got back, Mom wasn't here, and Jennifer just cries without giving me any answers. "Well then, come to this address I'm about to give you," I replied. I gave Daniel the address and hung up. The next day, Daniel arrived at my new home with Jennifer and the children. When I opened the door, I saw Daniel looking a bit somber and Jennifer appearing pale. "Welcome. Is something wrong?" I asked, concerned. No, nothing," Jennifer replied, visibly tense, while the children looked around with curiosity, especially the 5-year-old who seemed particularly fascinated. I guided Daniel's family into the living room. As they took in the fully furnished space, Daniel seemed to realize that I had no intention of continuing our previous living arrangement. "Hey Mom, why did you suddenly decide not to live together?" Daniel asked, puzzled. "Well, Jennifer should have a good understanding of that, shouldn't she?" I replied. Daniel scratched his head with a slightly irritated expression before recounting what he had heard from Jennifer. "Jennifer mentioned that you didn't like her choice of furniture, right? But that was just for our room. Couldn't you have let it go? She also said she had to buy more furniture for the living room because you moved out." "Oh, so she added more furniture, did she?" I looked directly at Jennifer, who twitched nervously. Her lips curved slightly upwards, as if she believed Daniel wouldn't believe my side of the story without proof. "Jennifer, why lie?" I asked plainly. "I haven't lied about anything," Jennifer replied, tears welling up in her eyes. Daniel immediately stepped in to console her, seeming to view me as the source of the conflict. Meanwhile, the grandchildren hung their heads behind them, avoiding eye contact with Jennifer. I let out a frustrated sigh. "Jennifer, stop the fake crying. The children can see right through it." "That's awful, Daniel. I'm really not lying. please believe me, Jennifer pleaded, clinging to Daniel and burying her face against him. Despite her words, her voice lacked genuine emotion. I felt annoyed with Daniel for siding with Jennifer in this situation. Mom, Jennifer may have made mistakes, but leaving without discussing it isn't right. Can't we try to work things out? Daniel pleaded. Well, I do owe you an apology for leaving abruptly, but any reconciliation with Jennifer will have to wait until you hear this, I replied, tapping my mobile phone. Immediately a voice played out loud, causing Jennifer's face to turn pale. You recorded it? I accidentally hit the video button while trying to capture the kids playing. The recording continued without my realizing. The voice from my phone sounded unlike Jennifer's usual tone, and Daniel looked bewildered, shifting his gaze between my phone and Jennifer. Jennifer was the one who asked me to leave. I was just following her instructions, I clarified. Is this really you, Jennifer? It can't be, Daniel demanded, pushing away from Jennifer, who clung to him, and asked her directly. However, Jennifer remained silent, staring at the ground. Daniel's frustration grew as he raised his voice, demanding answers from Jennifer. It's not true. Are you taking Karen's side? Jennifer managed to protest weakly, but the recorded voice clearly called out the children's names, leaving no room for doubt. Despite Daniel's persistence and Jennifer's attempts to dodge the truth, the situation became wearisome. Finally, Jennifer slipped up in exasperation. I never wanted to live with someone else in the first place. What? You were the one who wanted Mom to live with us, Daniel said, clearly shocked by this revelation. Jennifer defiantly explained her reasoning. Exactly. I couldn't understand why Karen was living in a house under your name while we had to rent. I wanted a home of our own. It appeared Jennifer was worried about being judged for living in a rental property after marrying again. Daniel had leased a luxurious condominium in the area, which cost around $4,000 per month. Despite this, Jennifer seemed to look down on it simply because it was a rental. This attitude caused me a different kind of frustration. Jennifer glared defiantly at me, and now Karen is harassing me. This is the house I've always dreamed of. Why are you living here? Daniel looked perplexed by Jennifer's accusation. Unlike Daniel, I straightforwardly explained to Jennifer, who was clearly on edge. Why? Because this property originally belonged to my husband. That's a lie because this place is, Jennifer started, possibly thinking of the caretaker or something else she was mistaken about. I showed Jennifer a photo on my mobile phone. Upon seeing the person in the photo, Jennifer exclaimed, "Father?" My husband had passed away before Daniel remarried, so Jennifer had never met him. She had never referred to my husband as father. Therefore, the father Jennifer mentioned must be the children's paternal grandfather. The photo captured Jennifer's father-in-law and me shaking hands. It was taken as a memento when we moved in. Jennifer looked at me, her face turning pale. How do you know him? How? Because he's the caretaker here, of course, I replied calmly. Upon hearing this revelation, Jennifer sat down right where she stood. Daniel also appeared stunned, struggling to grasp the situation. Sensing an opportunity to clarify things further, I decided to continue. We had a conversation when we moved in. That's when I learned he's your ex-husband's father, and also the real reason behind your divorce. The real reason for the divorce? Daniel's voice echoed in surprise. Jennifer, no longer trying to pretend, became visibly flustered by my words. Karen, there must be some misunderstanding. I'm sorry, let's go home together. Mom, please tell me, Daniel interrupted Jennifer, his expression earnest as he looked at me for answers. It would have been less damaging for Jennifer if this had come to light later, but I had no intention of showing mercy. I instructed the grandchildren to go play in the garden. They glanced at Jennifer but obeyed my request and headed outside. Once the children were fully engaged in their play, I turned back to Jennifer. I heard from Jennifer that her divorce was due to her husband's infidelity, but in reality, it was Jennifer who had an affair. Daniel was visibly shocked, and Jennifer trembled, avoiding my gaze. I can't believe this. Karen, why would you lie about this? Daniel asked, clearly shaken by the revelations. Oh, I also have a copy of the notarized document here. I retrieved the document from a drawer and handed it to Daniel. Daniel's face went pale as he scanned through the document. What's all this? Compensation? Custody to be revisited once the child can choose? Meeting before remarrying? I was never told about any of this. That's right. The other family also claimed they weren't informed about the remarriage, I added. Jennifer stared down, her face drained of color. Daniel sighed heavily and turned to Jennifer, his expression now devoid of his earlier kindness. Remember when I got divorced because I was cheated on? What did you say then? That the one who cheats is entirely at fault, right? Unforgivable, right? Yeah, Jennifer muttered quietly. Daniel's voice grew heated in response to Jennifer's silence. So the story about divorcing to escape from your husband's infidelity and extreme control, putting the kids at risk, was also a lie. What's that about? Jennifer appeared unsure how to answer. Daniel's frustration intensified. And didn't you say I would never cheat? Daniel pressed on, his voice sharp with anger. I had to say that or you wouldn't have dated me, Jennifer finally replied, her voice tinged with desperation. Right, of course, Daniel retorted sharply, not letting Jennifer finish. Daniel was visibly agitated, his breathing heavy with emotion. Jennifer, on the other hand, began to sulk defiantly. I've heard you've been declining visits since you started dating Daniel and apparently leaving all the housework and childcare to his family. And now you're trying to blame me after remarrying. Why are you making unnecessary accusations? Jennifer shouted at me, her voice loud and defensive. Daniel gave Jennifer a cold, distant look. Her unguarded outburst had shattered the image she had maintained. It's over between us. Let's get a divorce, Daniel stated firmly. No, I don't want a divorce, Jennifer pleaded, clinging to Daniel, who tried to shake her off impatiently. Despite his attempts, Jennifer persisted. Just as Daniel's frustration seemed ready to boil over, an unexpected voice intervened. Mom, you're saying the same things you told Dad. You've got a new boyfriend now, so stop bothering Daniel. Michael, Jennifer's eldest son, spoke with a surprising maturity for his young age. His sudden return from the garden surprised not just me, but everyone present. What? Why are you saying unnecessary things, Michael? Jennifer snapped, clearly caught off guard by her son's unexpected words. What do you mean by a new boyfriend? Daniel asked, squatting down to look at Michael, clearly perplexed. Michael spoke again, maintaining his composure. Whenever you're away, Mom tells me to go to Grandma's house, and then her boyfriend comes to pick me up. Michael, don't lie, Jennifer interjected quickly. Daniel hugged Michael tightly and turned a stern gaze towards Jennifer, who looked taken aback by his genuine anger. We'll talk about this later, including the boyfriend and the compensation, with him present. It's not like that. I love you. It was just a brief fling with that guy, Jennifer pleaded desperately. That guy, huh? Daniel remarked coldly, his disappointment evident. Jennifer looked crestfallen at Daniel's remark. With a resolute expression, Daniel stood up, shielding Michael, and stared coldly at Jennifer. Without hesitation, he forcefully escorted her out of the house. Wait, Daniel. Open the door. The next time we talk will be with a lawyer present. I'll arrange for the kids to see their father. I've already called my parents. They're on their way to pick them up. What do my parents have to do with this? Jennifer continued knocking on the door for a while, but soon the noise ceased. Shortly after, I heard voices arguing and then the doorbell rang. Jennifer's parents stood there, looking apologetic. After entrusting the grandchildren to me, they took Jennifer back with them. Later, the grandchildren were safely introduced to Jennifer's ex-husband's family. It turned out that Jennifer had changed her phone number and moved without informing anyone since she started dating Daniel, making it impossible to reach her. Her ex-husband and his parents were overcome with emotion and embraced the children as soon as they saw them. Although Daniel had already legally adopted the children, transferring custody back to Jennifer's ex-husband took some time due to the legal process. It seems Jennifer's life has taken a sharp turn after the consequences of her actions. Her strict reprimand from her parents and her current work situation at a family-run hotel indicate a stark change in her circumstances. With high alimony payments to both Daniel and her ex-husband, she reportedly has little respite from her duties. I can't stand it anymore. I want to quit, she frequently complains, but her relatives are keeping a tight rein on her. Meanwhile, Daniel, having experienced his second divorce, has sworn off marriage and thrown himself into his work. Despite the lingering shock, I recently learned he's reconnected with a childhood friend who lives nearby and is 10 years his junior. They'd occasionally go out for meals together, and this friend even visited me recently to say hello. It turns out she's harbored feelings for Daniel since they were kids and never pursued other relationships because of her enduring affection for him. As a parent, it warms my heart to see that the young girl who once dreamed of marrying Daniel still holds those feelings into adulthood. Daniel himself seems somewhat pleased by this newfound connection. Living in a house where I was proposed to holds immense significance for me. Despite the alterations Jennifer made, the house has been completely renovated and now serves as a rental property. Living here alone, I never feel lonely. It's as if my husband's presence is still nearby. I cherish each day, anticipating the second phase of my life where I'll gather stories to share with him when we're reunited.